Most people think strength is holding on to the relationship, holding on to the friendship, holding on to the dream, holding on to the opportunity, holding on to the person who clearly doesn't value them. We're taught that quitting is weakness, that if you really care, you stay. If you really love, you stay. If you really want success, you stay. But nobody talks about the other side. Nobody talks about the power of walking away. Sometimes the strongest thing you'll ever do is leave. Leave the place that is breaking you. Leave the people who only call when they need something. Leave the version of yourself that keeps begging for acceptance. And if you're a teenager or young adult, this lesson might save you years of frustration. Because one of the biggest mistakes young people make is believing that everything deserves another chance. Not everything does. Some doors need to be closed. Some chapters need to end. Some people need to become memories. The truth is, most suffering doesn't come from losing things. It comes from refusing to let go of things that were already gone. Think about it. How many people spend years chasing someone who already lost interest? How many stay in friendships where they're tolerated instead of appreciated? How many keep trying to prove themselves to people who made up their minds long ago? They're not suffering because of rejection. They're suffering because they won't accept it. And acceptance is powerful, because the moment you accept reality, you stop wasting energy fighting it. One of the hardest lessons I learned is that effort cannot force value. You can be loyal. You can be kind. You can be supportive. You can sacrifice your time and still not be valued, not because you're worthless, but because value is determined by the person receiving it. A bottle of water costs almost nothing in a supermarket. The same bottle costs much more at an airport. The water didn't change. The location did. Many young people spend years thinking they're not enough when they're simply surrounded by the wrong people. And that's why walking away matters. Because staying in the wrong environment will convince you there's something wrong with you. Imagine planting a healthy tree in toxic soil. The tree struggles. Its leaves start dying. Its growth slows. Now imagine the tree believing it's the problem. That's what happens when you stay where you're not respected. You start questioning your worth instead of questioning your environment. You begin shrinking yourself. You speak less, dream less, try less. Eventually you become a smaller version of who you were meant to be, all because you stayed too long. One thing nobody warns you about is that people get attached to potential, not reality. Potential. They stay because maybe things will change. Maybe that friend will become loyal. Maybe that relationship will become healthy. Maybe that job will suddenly become fulfilling. Maybe that person will finally appreciate them. But life is not built on maybe. Life is built on what is. And what is happening right now matters far more than what might happen someday. You can waste years living inside a future that never arrives. The reality is simple. If someone consistently shows you who they are, believe them, not their promises, not their excuses, not their emotional speeches. Their actions. Actions are the clearest language people speak. A person can say they care, but if they disappear whenever you need them, that's information. A friend can say you're important, but if they only contact you when they need help, that's information. Someone can say they respect you, but if they constantly cross your boundaries, that's information. Pay attention. Your future depends on your ability to recognize reality. Walking away doesn't mean hatred. That's another misunderstanding. Many people think leaving means becoming bitter. It doesn't. You can leave peacefully. You can leave respectfully. You can leave without revenge. The goal isn't to destroy people. The goal is to stop destroying yourself. There's a huge difference, because revenge keeps you connected. Healing lets you move on. The opposite of love isn't hate. The opposite of love is indifference. The moment someone no longer controls your emotions, you've truly walked away, and that freedom is priceless. Here's something that took me years to understand. Every yes to the wrong thing is a no to the right thing. Read that again. Every yes to the wrong thing is a no to the right thing. Every hour spent with toxic people is an hour not spent with inspiring people. Every year spent in the wrong relationship is a year not spent building the right one. Every day spent chasing approval is a day not spent building confidence. Opportunity cost isn't just about money. It's about life. The choices you refuse to leave behind silently steal the future you're trying to create. Many teenagers believe they have unlimited time, and technically, they have more time than most adults. But that doesn't mean years are free. Years are expensive. You pay for them with your life. You never get them back. That's why learning when to walk away is one of the highest forms of wisdom. Not everything deserves your energy. Not every argument deserves a response. Not every insult deserves a reaction. Not every opportunity deserves your attention. One of the most mature things you can learn is selective investment. Your energy is limited. Your focus is limited. Your emotional capacity is limited. Spend it carefully. The world constantly tells you to do more, chase more, respond more, prove more. But sometimes success comes from subtraction, not addition. Remove distractions. Remove unhealthy habits. Remove toxic influences. Remove unnecessary drama. And watch how much lighter life becomes. Some people spend years trying to win battles that don't matter. They argue online with strangers. They chase validation from people they don't even respect. They obsess over being liked by everyone. But here's the truth. You don't need everyone to like you. You need a few good people who genuinely respect you. Trying to please everyone is exhausting because it's impossible. Someone will always misunderstand you. Someone will always criticize you. Someone will always dislike you. That's normal. The moment you stop trying to control how others see you, your life changes. Because now you can focus on controlling who you become. Walking away from approval addiction is one of the most powerful decisions you'll ever make. Most people are prisoners of other people's opinions. They dress for approval, speak for approval, post for approval, live for approval, and then wonder why they feel empty. It's because they build a life around an audience instead of themselves. Freedom begins when external validation loses its power. The strongest person in the room isn't the loudest. It's the person who doesn't need applause. Another area where walking away matters is failure. This might sound strange, because everyone says never quit, never give up, keep going. And sometimes that's true, but not every path deserves persistence. Some goals belong to an older version of you. Some dreams were created when you knew less. Some ambitions were borrowed from other people. Growing up means recognizing when you've outgrown something. Not every ending is failure. Sometimes it's evolution. Imagine carrying a backpack filled with bricks. At first you think carrying more makes you stronger, but eventually the weight slows you down. The smartest move isn't adding more bricks. It's putting some down. Life works the same way. There are dreams you should pursue relentlessly, and there are dreams you should release. The challenge is knowing the difference. Walking away isn't always about people. Sometimes it's about identities. Maybe you've spent years trying to become someone you're not. Maybe you're chasing a version of success that doesn't actually make you happy. Maybe you're living according to expectations that were never yours. And deep down, you know it. The problem is that leaving an identity feels scary. Because who are you without it? But growth always requires uncertainty. The caterpillar cannot become a butterfly without leaving behind what it was. Transformation requires endings. Every new beginning hides inside a necessary goodbye. One of the biggest powers of walking away is self-respect. Self-respect is different from confidence. Confidence says, I can do this. Self-respect says, I deserve better than this. And many people have confidence without self-respect. They're talented, capable, smart, hardworking, yet they tolerate treatment they should never accept, because deep down they don't believe they deserve better. Self-respect changes everything. The moment you develop it, your standards rise. You stop begging. You stop chasing. You stop explaining yourself repeatedly. You stop trying to convince people of your worth. You simply leave situations that don't align with your values. Not because you're arrogant, because you're aware that your time matters, aware that your peace matters, aware that your future matters. And awareness creates boundaries. Boundaries are another thing young people struggle with. Many think boundaries push people away. Actually, healthy boundaries attract healthy people. The right people respect limits. The wrong people hate them. That's how you identify who belongs in your life. If someone becomes angry because you protect your peace, They benefited from your lack of boundaries. Think about that. Not everyone wants what's best for you. Some people want what's most convenient for them. And those are very different things. Walking away reveals people's true intentions, because when you stop giving, you discover who is only there to receive. Silence reveals. Distance reveals. Absence reveals. Time reveals. You learn more about people after leaving than while staying. One reason people struggle to walk away is fear. Fear of being alone. Fear of regret. Fear of missing out. Fear of starting over. But here's something interesting. Many people are already lonely. They're just surrounded by people. Being around people isn't the same as feeling connected. Some of the loneliest individuals are in crowded rooms. The fear of loneliness traps people in situations that slowly destroy them. Yet, when they finally leave, they discover something unexpected. Peace. Because peace feels better than constant disappointment. Peace feels better than confusion. Peace feels better than emotional chaos. And once you experience real peace, your standards change forever. You become less willing to tolerate nonsense, less willing to settle, less willing to betray yourself. Another hidden power of walking away is clarity. Distance creates perspective. When you're inside a situation, emotions blur reality. Everything feels complicated, confusing, overwhelming. But step away and suddenly patterns become obvious. You notice things you couldn't see before. You recognize red flags you ignored. You understand lessons you missed. Sometimes the answer you're searching for only appears after you leave the question behind. That's why taking space is powerful. Not every problem needs immediate action. Some problems need distance. And distance often reveals truth. The world rewards people who know when to leave. Investors cut losses. Athletes leave bad teams. Entrepreneurs leave failing strategies. Successful people aren't attached to everything. They're attached to growth. And growth sometimes requires letting go. The same principle applies to your personal life. If something repeatedly damages your mental health, pay attention. If something consistently drains your energy, pay attention. If something constantly requires you to abandon your values, pay attention. These signals matter. Ignoring them doesn't make them disappear. It only delays the consequences. The older you get, the more you realize life is less about gaining and more about choosing. Choosing where to invest. Choosing what to tolerate. Choosing who deserves access to your life. Choosing what deserves your attention. Every choice shapes your future. And some of the best choices you'll ever make involve walking away. Walking away from laziness. Walking away from excuses. Walking away from victim mentality. Walking away from comparison. Walking away from people who only appear when things are convenient. Walking away from environments that keep you small. Walking away from your own self-destructive habits. Because sometimes the person you need to leave behind is yourself. The old version of yourself. The fearful version. The insecure version. The version addicted to comfort. The version waiting for permission. Growth begins when that version loses control. You don't become stronger by staying the same. You become stronger by releasing what no longer serves you. And yes, it hurts. Walking away is painful. Anyone who says otherwise is lying. You'll question yourself. You'll doubt your decision. You'll miss people. You'll remember good memories. You'll wonder if you made a mistake. That's normal. Healing isn't the absence of pain. It's moving forward despite it. Pain is often the price of freedom. But temporary pain is better than permanent regret. A few months of discomfort is better than years of misery. A difficult goodbye is better than a lifetime of settling. Never confuse familiarity with happiness. Many people stay because something feels familiar, not because it feels good. Humans naturally cling to what they know, even when what they know is hurting them. But familiar pain is still pain, and growth requires courage. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's action despite fear. It's choosing yourself despite uncertainty. It's trusting that your future deserves better than your past. If there's one thing I want you to remember from this conversation, it's this. You do not have to stay where you are not valued. You do not have to keep proving your worth. You do not have to beg for respect. You do not have to shrink yourself to make others comfortable. You do not have to remain loyal to things that are destroying you. You are allowed to leave. You are allowed to start over. You are allowed to choose peace. You are allowed to outgrow people. You are allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to build a different life. And sometimes, the moment you stop chasing what isn't meant for you is the exact moment life begins opening doors you never noticed before. Because closed fists can't receive new opportunities. You have to let go first. That's the secret. Walking away is not losing. Walking away is making space. Space for better relationships. Space for better habits. Space for better opportunities. Space for better versions of yourself. And one day you'll look back at the thing you were terrified to leave and wonder why you stayed so long. You'll realize that what felt like an ending was actually a beginning. What felt like loss was actually freedom. What felt like rejection was actually redirection. And what felt like walking away from something important was really walking toward the life you were meant to live. That is the power of walking away.